will tell me he still doesn't know how to flip protections. He doesn't know when he's hot. He doesn't know what he's looking at. He can only throw to wide open receivers. He doesn't make tight window throws. He doesn't throw guys open. This is not the answer.
But I firmly disagree with Jason last week. I'm like, you want him cut. Why do you want him cut? You want him cut because you're tired of seeing people say nasty things to you on the internet? Do you want him cut because it's hard to cover him? Do you want him cut because when you say you don't think he's a good quarterback, that he's got a big fan base and they go after you for it? Is that why you want him cut? Because wanting a guy cut from a team is a very strong thing to say. Saying that we should move. Why? Why? That good? That's a reason to cut the guy. Just because we're bickering amongst each other about a quarterback doesn't mean the guy should be cut. I thought it was a crazy thing for him to say, and I stand by it.
You know, so a lot of people want to see me fail, and it ain't gonna happen. You know, it ain't gonna happen.
It Browns first, Guardians first, Cavs first. It should always be that way. He plays for the Browns. That's where it is with me.
The Cleveland Browns media landscape just erupted into all-out war. And at the center of this firestorm, Shedeur Sanders, the rookie quarterback who's become the most polarizing figure in Cleveland sports since, well, maybe ever. Ken Carman just went nuclear on fellow Browns insider Jason Lloyd. And when we say nuclear, we're talking scorched earth, no holds barred, say it to your face kind of confrontation. This isn't some subtle media disagreement. This is a full-blown public call-out that's exposing the absolute chaos surrounding the Browns quarterback situation. Here's what's really going down in Cleveland right now. The Browns media ecosystem is eating itself alive over Shedeur Sanders. You've got insiders calling for his release. You've got fans forming literal cults, both pro and anti-Shedeur. You've got advanced metrics being weaponized in Twitter wars. And somewhere in the middle of all this madness, there's actually a football team trying to figure out their future. Ken Carman didn't just disagree with Jason Lloyd's stance. He went on a full 3-minute rant that basically accused Lloyd of wanting Sanders cut for all the wrong reasons. And the implications? They're massive. Because here's the thing. When media members start calling for a rookie quarterback to be released before he's even had a full season, you have to ask why. Is it football, or is it something else entirely? Carman asked the question point blank.
You want him cut. Why do you want him cut? You want him cut because you're tired of seeing people say nasty things to you on the internet? Do you want him cut because it's hard to cover him? Do you want him cut because when you say you don't think he's a good quarterback, that he's got a big fan base and they go after you for it? Is that why you want him cut? Because wanting a guy cut from a team.
That's not just a disagreement. That's an accusation. Carman is essentially saying that Lloyd's football analysis has been compromised by internet drama and fan toxicity. He's suggesting that the media's coverage of Sanders isn't about his play, it's about their own comfort level dealing with his fan base. And honestly, that's a nuclear take in sports media. Let's talk about what Carman called the cults, because this is where things get really interesting about modern sports fandom and media coverage. On one side, you have the die-hard Shedeur supporters. These are fans who believe in Shedeur no matter what the stats say, no matter what the advanced metrics show, no matter how many interceptions he throws. They defend every decision, attack every critic, and create an echo chamber that makes rational discussion nearly impossible. On the other side, you have what Carman calls the anti-Shedeur cult. These are people who've decided Sanders is a bust before giving him a real chance. They nitpick every throw, magnify every mistake, and seem almost desperate to prove he doesn't belong in the NFL. But here's Carman's brilliant point. He's part of neither cult.
If you guys want to call Shedeur fans a cult, go right on ahead. If you want to call anti-Shedeur fans some sort of a cult, fine. I just want to let you guys know I'm part of neither of them.
This is the rational middle ground that's been completely lost in the Sanders debate. The idea that you can evaluate a quarterback objectively without either worshiping or destroying him. The concept that Browns first should trump personal feelings about any individual player. And it's this middle ground that makes Carman's criticism of Lloyd so devastating, because he's not coming from a place of Sanders fandom, he's coming from a place of football logic. Let's get to the actual football for a second, because buried underneath all this media drama and fan warfare, there are some legitimate questions about Shedeur Sanders' performance and future with the Browns. Carman admits the advanced numbers aren't great. He acknowledges there are more negatives than positives right now. The stats are brutal. Sanders ranks below even guys like Johnny Manziel and DTR in some categories. That's not good company. But here's the critical distinction Carman makes. Sanders has proven he can actually play the position.
Like Shedeur, to me, has demonstrated not only can he actually play the position, that's the first step. Some guys don't prove that. Johnny Manziel, DTR, I don't think they prove that.
This is a crucial evaluation framework that gets lost in the noise. Not every quarterback who struggles statistically is doomed to fail. Some guys show enough foundational competence that they deserve continued development. Others never demonstrate they belong on an NFL field. According to Carman, Sanders falls into the former category. Despite the ugly numbers, despite the struggles, despite the advanced metrics that look terrible, there's enough there to work with. Enough to justify keeping him around. Enough to make cutting him seem like a reactionary move driven by external pressure rather than football sense. And that brings us back to the Jason Lloyd controversy. Carman's central argument against Lloyd's position is both simple and devastating. Wanting a player cut should be about football, not media comfort. If Sanders was a locker room cancer, sure, cut him. If you couldn't play the position at all, sure, move on. If there was a clearly better option available, sure, make the change. But none of those things appear to be true.
Or maybe we'll find out that he's a terrible teammate. I don't think we will. But if you found out a guy was a terrible teammate and not that good, that's a reason to cut the guy.
The Browns don't have a better option right now. Deshaun Watson isn't the answer. Everyone in Cleveland knows that. Dylan Gabriel from the draft? Not a sure thing. Mac Jones? Malik Willis? These are the alternatives people are seriously discussing, and none of them inspire confidence. So, if Sanders is the best quarterback on the roster, if he's shown enough to compete for the job, if he's not causing problems in the building, then what's the football justification for cutting him? According to Carman, there isn't one, and that's what makes Lloyd's position so problematic. It suggests the call for Sanders' release isn't rooted in football evaluation, it's rooted in fatigue with the circus surrounding him. And this is where we need to have an uncomfortable conversation about sports media in 2025, because the Shedeur Sanders situation exposes something ugly about how internet toxicity is influencing football coverage. Sports journalists and insiders are human beings. When they express opinions about players, they face immediate and often brutal backlash on social media, death threats, personal attacks, coordinated harassment campaigns from angry fan bases. For someone covering Shedeur Sanders, this pressure is intense. His fan base, cultivated through social media and his famous father, is massive and extremely online. They don't just disagree with negative coverage, they wage war against it. Carman acknowledged this reality with brutal honesty.
Oh my God, Ken's been brainwashed. I go, no, you guys spend way too much time on the damn internet arguing with people who are probably bots or not even big Shedeur fans or just trolling.
But here's the critical point. That toxicity can't influence football coverage. Journalists can't let Twitter mobs or Instagram comments affect their analysis. The job is to evaluate players honestly, not to avoid topics that generate nasty replies. And if that's what's happening with Lloyd, if the call to cut Sanders is partly motivated by wanting to end the media circus, then that's a serious problem for Browns coverage and football journalism in general. Let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture here. Because the real question isn't just about Shedeur Sanders. It's about the Browns' entire approach to finding a franchise quarterback. Carman floated some interesting scenarios. What if they draft Dante Moore and start Sanders week 1? What if John Harbaugh comes in and wants Mac Jones? What if they somehow trade up for the #1 overall pick?
He's shown me enough. If they ended up getting John Harbaugh and John Harbaugh goes, he's got to go, I would like a plan after that of what he wants to do.
This is the nuanced position that gets drowned out in the Sanders debate. Being open to better options doesn't mean you have to hate Sanders. Keeping Sanders doesn't mean you worship him. It's just practical roster management. The Browns are in quarterback purgatory. They don't have an elite solution. They don't have an obvious path forward. What they have is a rookie who's shown flashes despite brutal stats, and a media environment that's completely lost its mind. Making personnel decisions based on anything other than football, whether that's appeasing angry fans, silencing critics, or ending media headaches, is organizational malpractice. This might be Carman's most important point in the entire rant, and it's something every fan base needs to hear, not just Cleveland.
Browns first, Guardians first, Cavs first. It should always be that way. He plays for the Browns. That's where it is with me. Sorry, I'm off the soapbox now.
This is the antidote to cult mentality on both sides. You don't evaluate players based on whether you like them personally or whether their fans are annoying. You evaluate them based on whether they help your team win football games. Shedeur Sanders wears a Browns uniform. Until someone definitively proves he can't help this team, or until a clearly better option emerges, the default position should be supporting his development. Not because he's special, not because his dad is Deion, but because he's a Brown, and Browns fans should want Browns players to succeed. That seems obvious, but in the current environment, where every take is maximized for engagement, where every opinion becomes tribal warfare, where nuance dies in the replies, it's actually a radical position. The Browns are heading into a massive offseason. New head coach, questions about the front office, decisions about the quarterback position, and all of it is happening under the microscope of a media environment that's completely compromised by internet toxicity. The Carman-Lloyd dispute isn't just insider beef. It's a symptom of a larger problem in how we discuss and evaluate players in the social media age. When coverage decisions are influenced by fear of backlash, when legitimate criticism gets drowned out by mob attacks, when journalists start calling for players to be cut partly to end their own headaches, that's when we've lost the plot. Shedeur Sanders deserves to be evaluated fairly. That means acknowledging his struggles without declaring him a bust. It means recognizing his potential without anointing him a savior. It means separating the player from the circus that surrounds him.
Browns first, Guardians first, Cavs first. It should always be that way. He plays for the Browns. That's where it is with me. Sorry, I'm off the soapbox now.
And most importantly, it means Browns first. Always Browns first. Not media comfort, not fan appeasement, not Twitter engagement metrics, just football, just winning, just finding the best path forward for a franchise that's been lost in the wilderness for far too long. Whether Shedeur Sanders is part of that path remains to be seen, but the decision should be made in a film room, not in a comments section. And if Cleveland's media can't separate those two things, then maybe they're the ones who need to be evaluated, not the rookie quarterback. The 2025 offseason is going to be wild in Cleveland. This is just the beginning.